like all things, there are changes that happen. And inside of the coaching industry is no different. You might be feeling like things are maybe shifting, there's a different energy, and I don't think you're wrong. And I think it's a massive opportunity for you as you move into the final few months of the year. And so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what's working and how to double down on it now. Hello, coaches, friends, welcome. I am so honored that you are here. This episode is juicy because we're talking about what's working right now inside of the coaching industry. I feel as though some of the things that I shared even a year ago as I was preparing for this episode is like, what did I say a year ago? It's kind of cool. And I feel like I've been here long enough to create ideas and thoughts and have projections around the market and what's happening. And I think you're feeling these things too. I'm hearing it from some of my clients and students. And I think there is this healthy place of not buying into what's happening for other people, but gather enough data for yourself. My mom always taught me just ask all the people, all the things, and then run it through your own filter and make decisions for yourself, right? When she was talking about if people, girlfriends were talking negatively about another girl, she would say, make your judgments all for yourself. And I agree with that. And I think that's true in business. And so some of the things I'm going to share are based on what I'm seeing. You might be seeing similar things. It's what we've been talking about in my mastermind and mentorship circles. So I think there's some validity and truth. And always, you may be experiencing something different because not all coaching niches respond to the same seasonality or the same nuances that exist. So take what's happening now into the context of your own business. And I think there's some really cool things that I'm going to talk about around what's working right now that I think you should pay attention to. And I'm going to get to those at the end. And I'm inspired to record this episode because summer has come to an end. And I remember back in the first few years of business, I was still figuring out the seasonality of my business. And I would kind of go into this freak out. Oh my gosh, everything's slow. And I was able for my business to see when I was doing health coaching and even now that there is some seasonality that exists, that people are kind of tapping out for summer. They're heavily involved with their families, they're vacationing, and just honoring that and knowing that. And you can decide to like fall into that and embrace that and lean into that seasonality, or create, specific promotions around those time frames that help activate leads and warm people up so that you have more consistency. And so I think this is a perfect time to share this episode because now we are headed into the fall. It's the last few months of the year. I find, maybe you agree with me, it's kind of like September is this like January vibe. And it kind of concerns me because I don't want you to just tap out and be like, fresh start, let's go. And also, I acknowledge that many of you are mothers and running businesses, or you've been enjoying, a step away. And whatever that is, that's fine for you. And know that that doesn't have to be. That's for another episode, but it is the perfect time to re-engage because you have greater capacity that exists and you're ready to dive back into your business with this ferociousness and this renewed focus and consistency. And so what I'm hearing from colleagues sometimes is this idea that like, okay, something shifted and it feels a little different. Things that I was doing aren't working as well. And that was even then 6 months ago. And I actually have felt this a little bit in my own business, specifically around our recurring webinar strategy, and not the webinar itself, but the type of leads that were coming in. Our cost per lead had gone up, and I was noticing in general they're colder leads. And it caused me to just ask some higher level questions. And that's why I was inspired to really share some things that I've learned that are working so that you can run it through your filter too. And as I head into the last 5 months of the year, I don't want to waste my time doing things that don't work. And I want to put energy into the things that I know are moving the needle the most. And so I really want this to be true for you. One of the realities that I'm seeing right now is this slower response to launches and calls to action. And I think partly it's a few things. Our clients are smart. They've been in this online education world long enough to know that when we are giving them offers and ideas, that there's something coming. They're selling to us. There's a bit of market saturation. Of course, we know this. There's lots of coaches entering the field consistently. And there's skepticism. I've been talking about this for well over a year. Is the name and title of coach isn't what it used to be. And so we have to be mindful of this. We have to understand that knowing that we're going to have to do things to accommodate this kind of skepticism, because maybe they've joined other programs and they're kind of like, yeah, but what's different here? How are you different? And with that, there's a lot of decision-making fatigue that exists because they're constantly bombarded with content and they have to have this discernment and clarity. They're more cautious with their investments. And so I think those four things, market saturation, skepticism, decision-making fatigue, and the uncertainty that maybe exists for some people, all of these things might lead to this slower or this slowdown that perception exists around. Here is what I noticed though, with all that being said, is people are still buying. If you got something juicy out there, they want to buy it. And I'm seeing it's actually that people want to buy faster. They want to be more certain. They don't want to be lost in these long sales cycles and these drawn out emails. They're like, tell me the thing, let me make a decision. And I love that. They actually want to be sold to faster and with more clarity and more social proof because they want to weed out all the other people. This is what I want to focus on today. Is I want to focus on this opportunity instead of reframing like, when things are different. Sure, they're always changing. They were different 8 years ago. They're going to be different 8 months from now, and not entirely different, but you have to be willing to be adaptable and you have to be willing to ask high-level questions about your business so that you can be successful and you are the cream that rises to the top. And so I want to talk about like the old model that's kind of dying and how you can specifically be that cream. I think the things that aren't working, generic content, hoping someone will notice. We've talked about this endlessly on this show. Other things that aren't working is really long nurture sequences that take months. I am working on like editing those out for me. I think what's not working is being subtle and beating behind the bush and like making it sound like you're not selling, but you are. People don't want that. That doesn't feel good. Things that aren't working is hoping people will figure out that they're going to work with you, like posting and like, oh, they'll figure out I'm a coach. Nope. We want to be very clear about that. And just, I think the other thing is like the post and pray strategy of just using social media content. Those are all things that are just not working, and they're working even less. And I haven't been shy around sharing that, nor is that a part of my constant strategy. Again, for me, social media is a nurturing tool. And I think because the whole online learning space exploded and online courses were such a thing previous to COVID and during COVID, people went there to learn. It's that people are now drowning in this kind of information, but what they're starving for is transformation. And we are seeing this more than ever. And so that's really where I want to take the conversation today, is what's working now is based on all those things that I'm saying are not working. This stimulus, this overload, that does not mean they don't need you. In fact, I believe they need your coaching now more than ever because they're drowning in information, but they're starving for transformation. And so I want to talk about 6 or 7, I think it's 7. Let me look again at my notes. Yeah. 7 simple things that I think can help elevate you to be that purple duck and can help you rise above the noise and be the creme de la creme. All right. So I'm going to break them down in no particular order, by the way. What I would encourage you to think about is which one or two could potentially be where you could start. You don't have to go out and do all 7 things. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, hey, what is the 1 or 2 shifts that I can make to really elevate myself? And I'm going to give some examples of how this is strategic for some of my clients immediately. Number 1, you need to have a faster and clearer sales process. People want to make decisions quickly when they're ready. And you need to have a system for this. So that means I want you to be direct about what you're offering and know the results. Again, you're not selling coaching, you're selling results. And so your calls to action should be crystal clear. What am I going to get when I work with you? And give people a faster path to yes. If they're ready, make it obvious. So create urgency around that decision making. I met with someone and it was like such a cumbersome process. Well, you need to go fill out this application and then it needs to be get on my Calendly. And then after that, I'm like, whoa. Like, get them on a call, make it a low barrier to being able to have a conversation with you because you are the real thing. You are the authentic thing. And so I said, I know that the old way might have been application, but can you qualify them in a call and know exactly who you're working with and they get to hear your voice? And she said, yes. I was like, let's do that. Right. And because again, they don't want to fill out the thing. And I've done that. I just think that what they want right now is to talk to you. They want the human voice behind, and you want to qualify them as quickly as possible, which bridges me to number 2, which is being super specific in your positioning. And what I mean by that is not being generic in the messaging and the results that you provide. And so what is working is speaking to very specific pain points and addressing the exact stories or situations your ideal client faces. And so I was just talking with a client and a colleague / friend who does an emotion or nervous system regulation. And she's like, I'm trying to launch this program and nobody's biting. And I'm talking, and the program is for high achieving women who want to regulate their nervous system and feel safe to be seen. And those things are beautiful, but they don't see themselves in that. That's really big and it's not specific. What they want, are what they're feeling is the moment they start to pitch themselves to be on a podcast or to speak on stage, they freeze up and they shut down. Or when their kid like loses their minds and like is having a tantrum, they are feeling so anxious they want to scream and yell and they don't want to do that. Or when the phone rings and it's somebody in their life that they are, don't want to have a relationship with or are struggling to have a relationship with, they feel like this full body response. Those are very specific pain points that she can help her clients with, but they don't see themselves inside the existing description because of the way she's saying it. So you need to use their language, not coaching jargon, and share specific results and transformations, just like I'm sharing right now with you. Those are 2 differentiators. If you do nothing more after this, the thing I just talked about, number 2 for me, is the one thing that changes everything. And yet I still hear coaches talking about, I empower people. I help them feel peace of mind. I help them feel clarity in their next step of life. I get that you do that, but they don't see themselves inside that unique situation. Number 3 that's working right now is real live support. Again, we're drowning in information and struggling with transformation. And the way you are different from all the other courses is that you're a coach. Like, you're brilliant at it. You know how to get people to get results, and you are the accountability that they are missing. And so what's working is showing up live for people in one-to-one sessions and giving accountability and helping them figure out what their next steps are. It's real-time implementation and immediate support when they're stuck. And if you are a part of a group program or you're like, hey, my whole vision is to launch a course, I'm not saying that's not great. I'm just saying what people need now is not courses. They need you to implement. That's why with us specifically, I have real-time support baked into everything, because I know that is a differentiator. You are never going to buy a quote unquote course from me where you go stand alone and consume. I'm going to give you at least a limited amount of group coaching sessions so you can come and ask questions with me. You will get better results. Our most successful students come to those sessions, and I think that's a differentiator for sure. Number 4, what's working is deep community connection. People are craving real connection, not just another free Facebook group and if you have a free Facebook group, it's like they want to go deep with you. They don't want just simple questions that are like auto scheduled And I have an amazing coach in my community that literally teaches people how to activate Facebook groups. And we talked about this exact thing that's happening here. They don't want just another membership community they're not going to engage in. They don't want to, they want to be in places that have in-person meetups or live events or small intimate group experiences, real-time relationships, not just a generic networking call where the pink elephant is that everybody wants everybody's business. That just doesn't feel good anymore. And so I want to encourage you to create that space. That's why we added last year Best Damn Coach Live, which reserved the date. It's April 13th and 14th this year, or rather of 2026. Save the date. A limited amount of seats. We only have access to 70 people being there. This is why we created that, right? This is why we host retreats. This is why we add this group coaching element so that you can interact with other people in real time. So that is working so well. Number 5. Another thing that's working, and I'm going to call it social proof on steroids, is trust has to be earned faster than ever. And so we need to see evidence that you are who you say you are. Video testimonials, case studies, before and after pictures, before and after case studies, client success stories, screenshots of your amazing clients getting results. Just some sort of third-party validation, and give it to them quick and paint the picture so they can see themselves inside of this. This is how we build trust. I teach you how to do this in the Best Damn Coach because it is so critical to your experience. And you could do this by putting these things in emails. You could put this on your stories. You could put this on your reels. You could just talk about these case studies on your podcasts or when you're a guest on another show. There's so many ways to bake it into your content, no matter where you're sharing content consistently. You could even talk about them when you have speaking events, when you're presenting in your webinar. These are all places that I would 100% take that social proof and just show me you are so freaking great at what you do. Number 6 kind of piggybacks off of real-time support. And I will call this like implementation focused programs. People don't want fluffy. If you're going to launch a group program or some sort of group experience, people want it around taking action and doing, not just learning. And I think this is true of events. There's a lot of events that are like rah, rah. And I think those are powerful for networking. But if you're wanting true transformation, you don't go to those style events. So I think people want and are showing evidence they want real results, live implementation, or done with you approaches instead of do it yourself. And they want that accountability and that support in real time. 100%. They are looking for that. And lastly, the final piece, and I think this is the highest level of all of these. I almost didn't include it, but I know there's some of you that are just overachievers. You get it. You're working at a next level. I think that what's working is like this premium positioning. And what I mean by that is not speaking to the lowest version of your ideal client, but the highest version. Speaking to the person that wants the fastest action, the fastest results, they're willing to invest for better support, that premium. And I don't want to say luxury. It's not that. It's just that premium. There's a lot of saturation in the market, so they want to feel seen and heard. They want you to be like, "Are you speaking? Like, did you read my diary? Did you like? I swear you were in my head this morning." They want quality and exclusivity rather than the other. Like they value that right now more than ever for the reasons we've talked about in all the other above ones, is that there is saturation and skepticism in the market. They want to know that you get them, that they feel seen and heard. And so there's this kind of premium client I want you to zone in on specifically. And so for me, those 7 pieces, like if you can weave them into your business, are going to help you elevate in a market that, again, feels a little skeptic, is saturated, and feels slow. It doesn't matter in any of those. There's always going to be slow seasons. There's always going to be fluctuations. And I think that when you can elevate to that premium positioning and really see where people are struggling, then you get to call those out and you weave those into your coaching for those. You can even steal the things I've said and use them and understand them and weave them into your sales call process. Like, hey, I know that you've taken these other programs, but what you're really missing is like the accountability and the real-time implementation. Like that's where I am different. That's how I am going to support you differently than the others. And so my homework for you is to just take one of the things that I mentioned. It doesn't have to be all seven, but obviously I think there's going to be one that feels the easiest to implement. Start there. And then maybe you have a next step is to go out and try it. You don't have to get perfect at it out the gate, but this is how we elevate ourselves in times where it feels like things are shifting. I promise you that if you can really nail that messaging piece specifically, it doesn't matter if you are speaking to your person as though you are in their head and you have the right offer in front of them. It does not matter. They are going to activate because remember, they are in pain. Your coaching is the solution. They want the offer that you're providing and they're willing to invest in it if they are clear that you can deliver that outcome to them. And it doesn't really matter the market. They are willing to invest. Right. And the coaches who, to me, rise above and adapt to these things and are understanding that your business is never going to be a set it and forget it. You're never going to be what I always call the filing cabinet teacher. The one that like puts all the lesson plans in is like, it's January, time to go to January lessons plan. Thriving businesses are the ones that are complete, adapting. That's why I feel like it's my job to show up here and expose you to this idea of being aware of how to elevate yourself. Because the coaches that are succeeding right now are the ones that are working smarter and they're working differently. They're building trust faster. They're serving clients at a higher level and they're building these deeper connections. And of course, I am here to support you to do that in whatever way I can. Remember that every market shift creates opportunity. So as not to be like want about it, it's that successful coaches see it as an opportunity and it is a gain and not a gap. And the market is telling us what it wants: faster decisions, better support, deeper connection, real results, all the things we already are working on here together in my community. I've been working to be ahead of the game. And now I just feel like it's, proof that what I've been sharing is here and now. And so if you want deeper support, I'm here. Again, hop on my calendar, amanda-walker.com/let's chat. You and I can talk about ways that I can help you create that, implement the things I've started sharing today. So I hope you found this episode so impactful for you. If you did, share it with a friend, share it with a fellow coach, somebody who is like, oh yes, this is the thing I need to be working on. It's oftentimes nothing new. It's actually letting go of things that aren't serving us and getting more clarity and working smarter. As my motto is always, same but better. You're doing brilliant things already. It's not about starting over. It's not about trying new things or putting a new offer. It's about understanding your person more richly so you can serve them at the highest level possible. So feel free to send me a message and let me know how this episode resonated with you. And of course, until next week, go coach them up.